Okay, hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome to the 10K Project. I'm Cherie. While we are waiting, please put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. Please put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. We're going to get started around 6:03. But for now, put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. We look like we are live. We should be live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope. I see the beautiful Tawana here. Hello.
Oh, hello everyone.
Welcome
Happy
to
Monday.
everybody. I'm sorry?
I was telling the people happy Monday.
Happy Monday, yes. And I see us here live here. So I'm going to get into the regular group here just in case people have questions. I see Michael here from Clarksville, Tennessee. I'm actually going to resume recording. Okay, I see a few people here already. Please put your city and state in Facebook. I do see Michael from Clarksville, Tennessee. I see in Zoom here, we've got Connie from Chatsworth, California. We've got McDonough, Georgia. We've got Hanover, Maryland, Fairfax, Harriman, Fort Meade, Detroit in the house, Boston, Atlanta. So again, would you put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you? We've got Baltimore, Greensboro, Atlanta. So we're going to get started at around 3 minutes after the hour. If you've got water, if you've got juice, tea, wine, something more potent, feel free to grab that because we're going to get started in a couple of minutes. So I see here Chicago, I see Fort Worth, see Charlotte, North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, Sacramento in the building. Hello to everybody. Again, please put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. The 10K project is growing, growing, growing. I checked a few hours ago. We had, I think, 34 founding member spaces left. So thank you so much, everybody that's been spreading the word. If this is your new time here, your first time here, and you are interested in learning more about the 10K project, you are in the right place because on a weekly basis, we come to talk about the 10K project, what we're doing here, the changes we're making in the community, and any milestones and you call it news items that we have within the 10K project. So again, we're going to get started in 2 more minutes. So in the meantime, if you're coming in, put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. And I saw the lovely Dr. Keisha here as well. So we will wait for her to come back too. Got Tampa, Florida in the building, welcome. Boynton Beach, Florida, welcome. Lakeland, Florida, welcome to you as well. Houston, Texas. Chapel Hill, North Carolina, welcome, welcome, welcome. I see Lamar's here from Kentucky. Welcome, Lamar. I see you on Facebook. Oh, and then we got the beautiful Talisha here. So all 5 co-founders are here tonight. Welcome.
Hello.
So it was suggested earlier today that I shorten the length of the presentation in order to give more time for feedback, and we can also start talking about some economics and things like that. So I will do my best. I will do my best to do that, but I also want to make sure that everyone is getting their questions answered. And I know that there's you know, a lot of activity happening within the 10K project. So we want to make sure that we answer your questions. Well, it's 6:03, so we're going to get started. I see Teaneck, New Jersey in here. Talisha, I don't know if you're able to get into the members group of Facebook.
Let me
just
check.
in case anyone has questions there for me, please.
Okay. I'm going in there right now.
Okay, then. So again, welcome everyone to the 10K Project. I'm Cherie. I'm the CEO of this great community. We are the nation's largest community of Black investors who are funding Black businesses for as little as $100 per investment. And the concept is very simple. When 10,000 of us get together, we put in $100 each. That's $1 million. We can start funding our own businesses. We can profit from our own innovation. We can create jobs in the community, and we can help build Black wealth. So the purpose of every Monday at 6 p.m., we come on to talk, give an overview about what the 10K Project is. We answer your questions live. You get a chance to meet all of the co-founders. They explain to you why they're part of the 10K Project. If we have time, we also go into some economic current events. So with regards to what's happening in the Black economy. So I hope everyone is ready. I'm going to dive right in and get started with our presentation this evening. So can everyone see my screen? Okay, I hope you can. Here we go. Okay, so let's talk about building Black wealth and equity crowdfunding in particular. You may say, well, what is this? It is a way for us to help build the Black economy. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about what equity crowdfunding is. Crowdfunding is nothing new to the Black community. So we're going to talk about how we're able to take something that we've been doing for generations and begin to have ownership in our businesses. We can also talk about, or we'll talk about tonight, how does equity crowdfunding benefit the Black community? We're going to talk about some of the intangible benefits for the community when we participate in funding Black businesses. And we're going to talk about how the 10K Project can help build Black wealth. Again, if you have questions, put them in the chat for us, put them in the Q&A, because we want to make sure that we answer your questions. So Black businesses need money to grow. In fact, all businesses need money to start and grow. However, Black businesses are the least likely to get funded. And part of the reason is because many companies that start their businesses start by receiving money from private investors. And these private investors make the lion's share of the profit. So many of you may have heard of family and friend money. However, a lot of times, the private investors that my clients have dealt with, and my clients are people who are coming to me for business plans. So these people come to me, they say, hey, Cherie, I need a business plan, and can you help me write it? And usually I will ask them, once I write this business plan for you, who are you going to present the business plan to? And people from other ethnicities would usually say, hey, I've got an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a venture capitalist I've known for 12 years, and they'll be able to fund me. And just like Shark Tank, who are Americans' most famous private investors, my clients who have had those relationships have been able to get checks for $50,000, $100,000, $300,000. I had one client raise pretty much $600,000 within one evening of sitting all of his family and friends and close network together and pitching his business. So I want you to put in the chat really quickly, do you have, or do you know somebody who can write you $100,000 plus check to support your business and your business startup? Or a business startup, period. I always like to have a little bit of interaction here. So you can tell me yes or no. Do you know anybody who can do that? Because for the most part, people will say no to me. And I'm trusting the chat right now is saying no because I can't really open it up right now. But did you know that there are more than 300,000 private investors nationwide? And these are people who can write these types of checks. However, for the most part, we don't know those individuals. And because of that, Black businesses are the least likely to be funded. And by the time we find out about these opportunities, it's too late for we, the people, to make a profit because most of the profits have been made by those early investors. So what if we, the people, could earn these returns and a share of the profits? And someone's giving me feedback. Eric, that could be you, if you can mute yourself. Thanks. What if we, the people, could earn these returns and get a share of the profits? And what if we were able to do it in a way that was affordable for all of us? $100, $200, $300 per business. Well, thanks to the internet and something called the Jobs Act of 2012, Black entrepreneurs have another option to get the money they need from regular people like us. We are the crowd, and this is called equity crowdfunding. So how does equity crowdfunding work overall? Well, it's a three-step process. The first step is entrepreneurs work with an equity crowdfunding portal to raise money. And currently, the law allows companies to raise up to $1,070,000. Now, Congress has voted for companies to be able to raise up to $5 million. However, we're waiting on that law to be written, and once it is, we will let you know. But right now, the current raise that any company can do is $1,070,000. Then we, the people, are investors. And we as investors are able to review the business plan and the terms of agreement. We're able to do something called due diligence, which is researching the company. And we can receive ownership or equity in the companies if we choose to invest in them. And then if the company makes it big, we, the crowd, share in the profits. And if the company doesn't, that's okay. Investors only lose what they have put into the company. So equity crowdfunding is a government regulated industry. It requires Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA approval. And again, crowdfunding is a bunch of people putting in little bits of money in order to raise money for a specific purpose. So I said before, our people have been known to do that for generations, whether it was the civil rights movement or whether we are looking to get a movie made or anything like that. Crowdfunding has occurred, but now we're able to do it where we, the people, are able to get ownership in the businesses that we are funding. That is what equity crowdfunding means. There's a lot of intangible benefits when it comes to equity crowdfunding as well. So investing can be a family affair. You've got grandparents that can leave generational wealth. Children can participate early and learn investing and entrepreneurship. And our kids can see positive examples of Black excellence and can follow an entrepreneur's journey from startup to massive growth. Also, another intangible benefit is properly funded companies tend to hire people, and they tend to hire people from within the community. And because you have employees working within a business, the businesses have a better chance of growth because you have a stable group of people that are helping the business to grow. And finally, another intangible benefit is we can uplift our young people and celebrate their ingenuity. A lot of times our young people may need things from financial literacy training and entrepreneurship training to internships to us being able to help with their scholarships or help them buy books or things like that. And we as the community can help uplift our young people with regards to that. So the 10K Project is a community where Black investors can fund Black businesses for as little as $100. And when 10,000 of us get together, we put in $100 each into a business, that's $1 million. We can start funding our own companies, we can profit from our own innovation, we can create jobs, and we can help build Black wealth. So how does the 10K Project work? It's very simple. It's made up of three groups of people. The first group are our entrepreneurs. These are people who have innovative ideas. Now, when we say innovation, we don't just mean technology. Innovation can be in manufacturing, in agriculture, in beauty services, personal services, all sorts of industries can have innovative ideas. And we know that Black people are some of the most innovative entrepreneurs that are out there. So we're going to start off with once per week having something called a Bet on Black pitch, where entrepreneurs are able to come to the community and, just like Shark Tank, they are able to give a pitch about their business. What is their business? What's innovative about them? How much money are they raising? What are they going to use the money for? How will we get our money back? When will we get our money back, etc. So the first group of people are entrepreneurs. The second group of people are investors. That is we the people. And unlike a fund where you have a group of people on top that have accepted everyone's money, and then 5 or 6 people decide, hey, we're going to make these investments. We're different as Equity Crowdfunding Portal because you have the right individually to decide if you like that entrepreneur, if you want to invest in that business. So that's what equity crowdfunding is. So let's say you have 5 companies. Company 1 and 2, you may like. Company 3 may be a great company, but it's not for you and it's not for your portfolio. That's fine too. Then the third group of people, because we wanted to be supportive of the businesses that are raising money, is the business support after funding, actually before, during, and after funding. Who are these people? These are specialists like CPAs and accountants and intellectual property attorneys and writers, graphic designers, digital marketers, etc. We are building a network of specialists who are able to help those entrepreneurs take the community's money that they've raised and grow it 5x, 10x, 20x, etc. So that is what makes the 10K Project unique. And if you've ever watched Shark Tank, they are VCs or venture capitalists. Well, here, we're the home of the everyday VC or everyday venture capitalist, and you are an everyday VC. So this past week, we received this testimonial, and Deborah said that I could use it. So she said, I already made investments in Sunjoined, Black Mama Tea and Cafe, Black Sands Entertainment, Vegan Fine Foods, and Threesome Chocolate Cuisine. It was getting difficult to find Black-owned businesses on a particular site that I was using. Thanks for creating a website that will decrease my search by 100%. I'm overly excited and ready to invest. So what Deborah is saying here is that there is no, there are other sites that do equity crowdfunding. However, we're unique because the businesses that will be featured on this crowdfunding portal will be Black-owned businesses. So now you'll have Black excellence with every business that you see on this platform. In order to become a part of the 10K Project, it does require membership. And what does membership get you? Tawana, one of our co-founders, calls it gets you a seat at the table. And I'm sure she'll talk about that more when she speaks about why she's a part of the 10K Project. But I will say that several months ago, Tyler Perry did his speech. He was accepting an award for something. And he said, instead of trying to go and fight at someone else's table, he built his own table. And that's what we're doing as well here within the 10K Project, is we're building our own table, and you get a seat at that table. We will also have financial literacy education, which we're going to explain in the next slide what that means. But we're going to talk about everything from how to read the business plans that a business has, all the way to understanding their financials, and so much more within our financial literacy education, so that you can make the best investment decisions for your family. And we're going to have an opportunity, and you will have as a member the opportunity to hear all the pitches and invest in all the deals on the platform for life. You'll never ever be charged for membership again. So membership is a one-time payment of $100. It's a lifetime payment. Again, you'll never ever be charged for membership again. So what does membership education include? Things like making more money, saving more money, reducing debt, repairing your credit, reducing taxes, developing money-savvy kids ages 5 to 27. Starting family banks. Last week, we had a Black family come on talking about how they started their family bank that has grown for them, starting with putting $25 per month in each. And now they have 7 figures in between the bank and investments. And I will say your membership, if you want to organize your family, that one webinar is worth it. If you were there for that webinar, a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being it wasn't worth anything, 10 being it was excellent. Please put in the chat what you thought of that single webinar by the family banks, about the family banks with Robert Cook and Colonel Frank Preston. We're also going to have in membership education best practices for analyzing deals on the platform, building a strong investment portfolio, creating and preserving family wealth, group economics 2.0, and much more in this membership education portal. So some upcoming milestones that we have membership in a members only area that is open. Investor education has begun and it will continue. Through the summer and fall of 2020, we have our publicity tour that is happening. One of the people that we've hired for that is the former publicist for Tom Joyner, and he has done a great job of helping us get some publicity out there. On October 22nd, we have our Investor Knowledge Center opening. Dr. Keisha Waddell is working on that. I'm sure she's going to talk a lot more about that. On October 27th, we have the Business Owner's Guide to being on the 10K Project platform. That guide is going to be released on October 27th. And then around the spring of 2021, we expect our FINRA and SEC approval and investments to begin around that time. And that is an estimate. So we're going to ask that you consider joining us, becoming a founding member and joining us. In order to become a founding member, it is $100. We have, I think, about 34 slots left. That was as of a few hours ago. So if you want to consider becoming a founding member, no pressure, but you may want to take a closer look at what we're doing soon if you want to become a founding member. You can also join us on Facebook and Instagram. You can share the 10K Project with family and friends that are like-minded. And you can introduce us, if possible, if you trust us, please introduce us to your community, church leaders, fraternity and sorority leaders, and you can email us at info@the10kproject.com, info@the10kproject.com. So I'm going to stop sharing right now, and I am going to open it up to my wonderful co-founders here. I want to give them a chance to introduce themselves, and I always ask them why they became part of the 10K Project. So I'm going to start off with Tawana Rivers. She is our Chief Operating Officer. Tawana, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I could ditto exactly what Deborah said. Actually, I think I've said that same thing that Deborah said before. So I too have invested in many of those deals that Deborah quoted. And trying to find a Black entrepreneur to invest in is not as easy as you would think. It becomes a little easier now in these days because we're being highlighted on many of the platforms. But in the early days of equity crowdfunding, it was very hard. And I even have a couple of people that when there's a deal out there, they'll send me a note to say, hey, there's, this Black company's out there now, check them out. And I'm grateful for that. And so to be able to be a part of a team that is going to highlight Black excellence and be able to have you come to one place where you can find those deals in all industries. Super excited to be a part of something like this, both for the from the investor standpoint, as an investor, from the investor standpoint, being able to build something that's going to allow all of you investors to not have to search around like Deborah and I. And then from an entrepreneur standpoint, to be able to have you come to a place where investors are waiting to hear from you, right? We're sitting and we're waiting to hear about the amazing projects that you guys are going to come to the platform with. And we're waiting to be able to be successful in those ventures with you. So just super excited about the 10K project and excited that all of you are here with us tonight. And for everyone who's already become a member and those of you who are just here in the Facebook group joining us and filling us out and learning about all of it, we're so grateful to have you in our ecosystem. So thank you so much, guys.
Dr. Keisha?
Hello, everyone, this evening. I'm Dr. Keisha Waddell. I am the Chief Instructional Officer of the 10K Project. And really, quite frankly, the big reason why I'm a part of this project is because, I'm an educator. I'm an educator by trade. And what we are doing here is so tremendous, so new. And as we've just heard already, it helps everybody find one another. We all are interested in supporting Black, and this is supporting Black, investing Black, and actually being able to get several paybacks from that investment, not just the equity, but some of those intangible things we were just talking about earlier. But again, because this is new to us, there's a lot of education that our ecosystem, our community needs. We've already identified that because we've heard it from you guys. We're not making this stuff up. You guys have talked with us, some of the earlier contributors. So we have a plan to really pull together a real strong knowledge center made up of professionals within our community. And it's going to be like Cherie's been saying, it's going to be quite comprehensive. And we really are looking for, so when you get my email, if you're not that person out there, when you get my email, please consider supporting the project with your information. It's support before and during and after for the entrepreneurs, and certainly throughout for our investors at whatever level that you might be, whether if you're already a accredited investor or somebody entirely new to this space, we'll have something for you. So it's exciting so far. The content we've got already has been priceless. Truly, it has been. So just stay tuned. Stay tuned.
And Talisha?
Hello, I'm Talisha Shine. I am the Chief Technical Officer here at the 10K Project. So I basically maintain and do all the things that are technically involved with making sure the platform runs the way it should, website included, with regard to just ensuring that you have the user experience that you want. I think we're all, I say we may not be digital natives, but we all use technology on a daily basis. This is something that we're just, kind of akin to at this stage of our lives, and that it's not going anywhere. So this is the opportunity to hone those skills, but to use them for the betterment of other things, in the sense that now you're not only a consumer, but this is your investment, so that you have the ability to kind of look at a business and not just to simply say, oh yes, I'll buy something from you, that you can actually invest and see that business grow, because that's a part of that whole system. I think we miss that a lot with regard to just, simply patronizing. We also need to make sure that there's a profit for both exchange from the entrepreneur and business owner to ourselves as the individual end users. So we're here to help you with that. And, I'm always here to answer any questions that you have from a technical perspective. So you can feel free to join the group and let me know what you think.
Eric?
Hey everyone, Eric Spence. I am the Chief Business Development Officer here at the 10K Project. I am a big believer in entrepreneurship, Black entrepreneurship, and its ability to be able to, just really transform our communities. Entrepreneurship has always been a key component towards any community or any people group looking to really uplift themselves economically. And, it's a very key component for ourselves. I have to say this, I think over the matter of, the past 4 or 5 months, I feel that we have had, decades of change happen in a matter of these months. I mean, we're seeing things happen that I think would have been previously unheard of. I was watching today, these, luxury brands now with real estate and they're just not choosing to pay their leases anymore and stuff like that happening. And, when you have such a turbulent time, I think it's important for you to play a little bit of offense, rather than continually to be on the defensive side. And the 10K project is set up for those entrepreneurs, those Black businesses to be able to raise capital from us, from the community, to be able to go out and to play some offense. So I'm really happy to have everyone join us together, and let's do all of this together.
Thanks, Eric. So because we have so many people watching the replay, Celicia's done a great job of answering the questions that have been in the Q&A, but I do want to also have us expound on those as well. There are some other frequently asked questions that we always get. I want to make sure that we expound on those too. And I see a couple of things in the chat and a couple of things on Facebook as well. So I'm going to be going back and forth amongst all of those. The first is from Torrance. Was there a notification of the webinar? I guess he's saying of the Family Bank webinar. I did not see it on the calendar. So number one, Torrance, is you had to be a member in order to get access to the Family Bank webinar. I'm guessing that that's what you're referring to. If you are a member, if you were a member last Friday, you should have gotten the replay. I see that a couple of other people are saying they paid over the weekend. I will make sure that we have it accessible someplace. Actually, it's accessible if you're in Facebook, in the members 10K project group under Family Bank. So it's always accessible there. And then if you are a member, a new member, I'll try to send it out again tomorrow with the weekly newsletter, because every Tuesday we send a weekly newsletter, and I will make sure to resend that to everybody. So thank you so much for that question. Okay, so Deshaun was asking, can members who pay $100 be entrepreneurs who pitch as well? The answer is yes. You can be an entrepreneur today, an investor tomorrow, and a business specialist on Thursday. So once you become a part of the ecosystem, you may end up interchanging amongst all of those, and that's perfectly fine. Corey is asking if there's a cap on the amount that can be invested in an opportunity. He understands that there's no cap for accredited investors. That is correct. There is a max amount for unaccredited investors, and that is based on your income and your net worth. There are some SEC rules and regulations around that. That information will be in the portal when it opens up, and we will over communicate that, at least where to find that information. You're going to have to calculate it yourself. So Corey is asking, how can we get more information on starting a family bank? So Corey, the first thing is, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the replay of the webinar that was done. I thought it was excellent. Also, there's a book called Family Wealth by James Hughes Jr. that you would want to get. And we're also looking at some other resources as well to point individuals to. Tawana, it looks like you want to say something about that.
No, I was just going to answer the specifics of Corey's question about the amount of the max, but your answer was fine. Your answer was good.
Oh, okay. And anytime, just hop in, Tawana. I'm trying to go faster tonight as well. George is asking something that I'd like Tawana to chime in on, and that is, I'm getting this question a lot about people having joint membership. So is it better, for example, George is asking for spouses to join separately in order to participate. So my answer to everybody who has been emailing me this, because this is actually a question I'm going to put on the FAQs for every Monday, because we get it constantly. I have a cousin I want to have an account with. I have an investment group that I want to have an account with. We keep getting these types of questions. My answer has been, number one is it's one entity, because you have to, when you go through the portal, you have to have either a social security number or an entity set up for that single membership. So it's one membership, one access point into the portal. Number two is if you want your own portfolio, if you and your husband are not sure if you're going to want to share the same companies that you're investing in, this is not about a money grab for us. This is just us saying, think about the portfolio that you have together and potentially that you want to have separately. Adult children is the same thing. I know that Tawana has an adult son in his 30s, and she's mentioned that as well. So Tawana, I want to open up that question to you to answer for George and others, please.
Yeah, especially for the people who have the family investment clubs or the group of people that they invest with. You know, you would hopefully you have an LLC or some kind of incorporation. That would be that incorporation or that LLC will be the investor in 10K. So you would get a set of credentials for that business entity. And if you share those credentials with the other members of the family so that they can keep up with the investments and look to see, you know, the status of different campaigns and all of that, that's fine. But only one entity or set of credentials will be allowed in the Facebook member page as well as on the portal. So just want to remember that. And it doesn't mean the other members of the family are not also members individually, in addition to what you guys do as a family. So keep that in mind as well. You can have the family business be an entity, and then each person individually can also be a member, because to Cherie's point, you may have different portfolio needs, right? One business may resonate with one member of the investment club, and somebody else says, no, let's not do that one. Or if you guys vote like we did in my family investment club, you may like something, they may not like something. Well, then you can come on and be a member of 10K as an individual and do those other deals that the family wasn't interested in. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the spousal situation. Keep in mind, you do have under that one social security number that you would use, because you do have to give your social security number. These are securities that we are, you know, that are being traded, changing hands. So we do have to, it's called KYC, know your customer, right? Where we have to make sure there's no anti-money laundering going on, or that there is no money laundering going on, that it faces the anti-money laundering rules. And so you have to give your social security number. There's no way around that, right? And it's not for us, it's for the SEC to make sure that we've covered all of our bases from a legal standpoint. But if there is that cap, and that cap is typically based on your net worth, not including your primary property. And so for anyone who has a net worth of less than $107,000, there is a cap of either $2,200 a year or 5% of the lesser of either your net worth or your annual income. So there's a formula, right? And so if you like a couple of deals that your wife doesn't like, George, then, you know, you can say, hey, go get your own account. The assets are ours, right? Well, go get your own account and do your own thing. And we'll settle at the end of the 7 to 10 years and see whose portfolio did better, right? Because if you want to do it together, it is going to be capped at that annual one, that one person social security number. So you want to keep, George says she's getting her own account. I love that, George. That's a good idea.
Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry,
Tawana. You just want to be mindful of all of that, because you do have the maximums that go into place. And then also there is that know your customer checks that we have to do and that we will do.
I just want to add one more thing. So I talked about the investors and the entrepreneurs, that business support after funding is a vital piece to what we're doing as well. If your wife is a CPA and you're a digital marketer and you have 2 different businesses, you will need to have 2 different memberships, because we are building out our own directory of people who are members who have businesses, whether, again, whatever kind of specialist business that you have. So for example, for George and his wife, if they work together in the same business, they could have the same membership. But if George's wife is a graphic designer and she wants her own, listing in the directory, for entrepreneurs, for those entrepreneurs that are raising money, and even those who aren't, who just need support services and they come in. If you have a husband and wife or multiple people in an investment club or whatever, you get one business listing. So I want to, warn people about that as well. And there'll be more information that comes out. We're talking with the designer of that platform later on this week, and we'll have more information over the next few weeks about how that's going to work. So Corey is asking, he watched a presentation about the Family Bank. Will the Knowledge Center hold info on steps to take and documents needed? So we have to be very careful with the documents that are in the Knowledge Center, and Dr. Keisha can talk about this more. So I will say that Robert Cook sent me some of the documents that he promised to us for you to take a look at them and view them overall as for educational purposes. CYA, check with your accountant, check with your attorney. Do not take all of this information that's on the Knowledge Center and slap your name on it and think you got what you need. So we, as well, within the 10K project, will have those disclaimers as well. But it's to give you guidance, and it's to get your minds, thinking about certain things. So that way you're able to check with your accountant and attorney and say, I understand that this is what this family did. Is it possible for us to do the same thing, and how can we write the legal paperwork to do that? Tawani, you look like you want to say something else about that too.
Yeah, the other thing, we received some amazing information from the Family Bank, and it could be that replay is positioned in the Knowledge Center to get people started to then get on the journey to do their own research. Essentially what he, in my opinion, what he described was a very well organized family investment club.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's very well organized. Let me just say that. I'll say that part again. And so, that was a lot of the information we're going to be giving you is that appetite, it's the appetizer, right? And then you've got to do some research of your own to get to, extremely organized, Corey, I agree. To get to the rest of the information. We did try to convince Robert to write a book, right?
We're still going to work on him.
Maybe that'll sit on his spirit for a while, because we need him to tell us all of the details. I know someone else in the chat said that she had walked away and still had a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
So did I. And so, I think, we may be able to put the replay there, but there may not be, enough documentation that he's willing to give us that will tell the whole story. Right. So I just want to set everyone's expectations in a reasonable place, that we will try to get more information from that family on what they did and an outline of their plan. But it could just be that replay being posted in the members Facebook group for you to just watch and rewatch and try to figure out how to fill the holes with some of the other information that's out there.
Yeah, and we will look.
Tag on to that also. I'm sorry. I actually put some supplemental information right after the replay was there.
Mm-hmm.
I put some articles with regard to that. So again, when you're in the actual physical groups, there's some documentation that I place in there very specifically based on the information and kind of correlates to make sure that you go in the right direction. So if we're on that path, then I give you little benchmarks to kind of go forward and on. So there's a lot of resources in there as well. So if you need something specifically, if you're looking for something, just let me know and I'll try to hunt it down for you and put it in there.
Yeah, and you tagged that, right, Talisha? Did you tag it in the members group? Okay.
Yeah,
so if you look under in the members group of Facebook, if you go to the tag that says Family Banks, that is where you start. And please recognize, again, consult with your accountant, consult with your attorney. This Knowledge Center is not meant to be the end all be all of knowledge. It's meant to give everyone introductory information for you to go and say, I'm interested in learning more about this. Let me contact specialists who can help. So I want to be very sure that
I'll just add something else also, and you touched on it a little bit. We are the investment portal, right? And we always want to be very clear on our role, because we have these great ideas of what we want to do for the community, But then the SEC's got their set of limitations of what we
Yeah.
can do, right?
Mhm.
So we want to give 1,000%, and they say, nope, you can only give 900. And so this is one of those areas. Most of the crowdfunding portals don't do this level of education, right?
They don't
Actually,
hardly
none
do
of them.
any.
There are probably about a handful, maybe about 2 handfuls of educational things that the SEC says that you have to do as a portal. We're putting that on steroids, right? We doing those 10 plus 10,000 more, but we have to be careful that we stay in our lane because we are only the intermediary between the investor and the entrepreneur. And so the fact that we have the educational knowledge base, that we're populating with information from specialists around the country, we have to be hands off from that information because it's not really ours, right? We're just populating it so that it can be there for you. So as you utilize the Knowledge Center, we're being very diligent about making sure we have different people submitting information about like topics so that you can get different perspectives, because it's not always one size fits all, right? You know, Robert had a great way to do a family investment club. You know, I had a way to do mine, right? And there's a lot of different ways. What you're going to have to do is vet out that knowledge and make sure that it is sound and what you need it to be. So I'd like to ask you all to use them as guidance versus as the end all be all when you're making decisions about whatever that topic is. Because we can't step in and say, well, hey, on page 17, you said this, but we think it's this. We can't, because the law doesn't allow us to. The fact that we're even giving all of this information to you is above and beyond, like I said, what any other crowdfunding portal is doing. But we know that this community needs more because we have too long been the last to know. And so we're trying to make up for that lost time, not just by giving you the seat at the table, but by empowering you with the information that's going to help you act responsibly once you make the decision at the seat.
And I want to add to that too, in the sense that this information portal and the way we're designing this entire project really gives you a lot. So to whom much is given, much is required. You know, we are able to, you know, do as much as we can and go above, all within reason, but it really puts you in practice in terms of what really is going on in this space with regard to the kind of due diligence that you'll have to do anyway, you know, with each and every deal that comes forward. So, you know, don't put your mind on, you know, autopilot. You know, each one of these businesses that will come before you will require its own due diligence. And similarly with each bit of information that we'll be providing, as we've been saying, you know, it's a great starting point. And certainly you could reach out to these folks themselves as well. That's another piece. But again, like everybody has been saying, you know, we're providing this to really get you started, and it's curated, and the things we have are great, as you have already had a taste of already.
Right. So, Talisha, this next question is for you about the platform itself and security. How will the platform be protected against hackers? You want to talk about the platform?
Sure, I believe I answered this question as well. We have to be, as we keep saying, FINRA and SEC approved. And so for you to actually have the portal, it has to be a certified, viable platform. So it has to go through the due diligence process of being certified by the SEC in order to have all the elements that are needed. So they have a checklist of what's required, and a large portion of that is the security protocols that are in place from the back end as well as from the UX side. So I have a whole host of things that had to be in there and that they're already in place from the platform standpoint. So again, we have all the security. You'll have to also do your own due diligence if you wanted to collect, you know, two-part verification on yours. You can put that on there if you want, that as the data is coming through, it's encrypted. We have other security protocols, even with the KYC aspects of them, because again, each and every layer that it goes through has to be certified and also has to be encrypted until it actually gets to our backend, which is AWS. Those servers have to have that in there, and it's stored in there for a certain aspect of time underneath different protocols as well. So it's as safe as we can possibly make it, as well as what the government rules that it needs, the safety protocols that they require us to have in order to operate as a business.
Right. So Corey is asking, saying that he might need to change his 10K membership from individual to business or family office. Will that be possible? My suggestion to you is this: to when we get to a point where we're ready to have you in the portal, we'll over communicate. Okay, this is how it needs to be, and if you need to change from an individual to a business, then this is the process for doing it, because we do know that some people are going to need to do that. One thing we've decided to do as co-founders is not to open up the platform to anyone until we receive that SEC approval. We're doing that for our protection as well as yours in terms of legal. So, now's the time for you to do your own research, your own due diligence, and determine how you want to approach this. But as long as your email is tied to whatever you're going to be using when the platform opens, that's all you need for now, because we are, again, at that specific point, we're going to have one email for one member. So I just wanted to make sure we answered that. We have Constance here who joined tonight. So yay, Constance. And she's saying she wants to replay, I'm sure it's to the family bank. So I'll send it out again tomorrow to for within our weekly newsletter. I'll make sure to send that out again. So a lot of people are asking about that family bank, but there's going to be a lot more as well. We have George Frazier coming tomorrow night to talk about Black Economics 2.0. So the family bank was just one thing. We've done like 4 or 5 members. I think we've done 4 members only sessions thus far. So it's more than just a family bank. Connie Johnson is asking about presenting our presentation to her family at the bi-weekly meeting. So Connie, if you would do me a favor and email me info@the10kproject.com, because what I'd like to do is come with one of my co-founders potentially and come present to your family. That way, if they have questions, we're able to answer those questions as well. So let's talk about the logistics of that, info@the10kproject.com. And we'll take a look at that. So everyone else, let me know if there are any other, I see something here from Maria. If there are any other questions in the chat, please let me know. Maria is asking on Facebook, who is considered an issuer, and can you describe the securities to buy common stock, convertible notes, debt, and revenue share? So Maria, that is a great question. Issuers are entrepreneurs. They need to be innovative ideas, and they need to be scalable businesses. The entrepreneur gets to decide whether what kind of shares, or if they're doing convertible debt, or if they're doing just a loan, period. So that is where you come into play. And that's one of the great things about this platform, is that you get to decide for every single investment. If you only want to do equity plays, that's fine. If you only want to do debt, that's fine as well. If you want a mixture, we will have a mixture, but the entrepreneurs get to decide that. Torrance is asking, how do members access the Knowledge Center? So the investor area of the Knowledge Center is going to be available on October 27th, and the Entrepreneur Knowledge Center is going to be available on November 6th. So that's where we are right now. However, we do have some things already in the Facebook page. So Tangi is asking about the Vanessa Braxton replay. That's on our YouTube page, Tangi. So probably the easiest way for you to find the Vanessa Braxton replay and all the replays is to go to our YouTube page, go to YouTube and go to Black 10K Project. Are there any other questions that you all see?
Yeah, Chris Chapman said that we stated there are 35 slots. He wants clarification if that's out of the 10,000 members. No, Chris, we're not that close yet to our first goal or to our second goal. But so what we did, Chris, was we said the first 1,000 members would be considered founding members. And we are working for a little founding member treat, because we've heard that that's necessary. And so the first 1,000 members will be considered founding members. There are 35 slots left in that group. And then our next goal is the 10K. So that's what we were referring to, Chris. So if you're not a member yet and you're interested in becoming a founding member, then please join us and, let's start this journey together. So yes, Chris, you are a founding member if you've already become a member. Yes, sir.
I think there was one question with regard to what would be the reason for us to be banned, I believe, from the SEC. I don't think you would be banned. You mean not
Not approved.
I hope they don't ban us.
banned. I mean, we're not, we're not doing anything illicit at this point. But for our approval to be denied, I think is a better assessment.
I can start that answer and then anybody
Start
jump
that, yes.
in. So there are a lot of different reasons. There's a large criteria for a portal. There are compliance parameters that we have to meet. There are obviously, I think Cherie has shared this before, that we all have to go through FBI background checks and all of that. There are a lot of, to make sure the portal itself is compliant, right? So that the portal that we have, the technology, make sure that it's sound and it meets the criteria. So basically, SEC and FINRA has a guidebook, quite big, quite lengthy guidebook of all of the things you have to do to pass the mustard, so to speak. And we are working hard with legal counsel and looking now for a compliance officer to make sure that we have that expertise and accountants to make sure that we do everything we need to do to be approved. But it is a process. So I love that you asked this question because it is a process. At the SEC's website talks about it being 180 days, up to 180 days before you can even hear anything back from them. And that's pre-COVID, right? So imagine how slow things are now that most businesses are, either working from home or doing, different cutting back services, moving a little slower because they may have employees who are sick, just so many things that are happening. So the 180 days is the minimum we believe we would have to wait once we officially file. And there's a process to officially filing because I just talked about the compliance manual. We've got to make sure we've got all of that information in order before we hit send, right, on the application. And so that's all the things that, we talk to you guys every Monday. Tuesday through Friday, we're doing all that other stuff.
Yeah. Actually, on Monday, we're talking
7
with
days a week.
And Monday.
I was say,
I was like, really? Are we off on Monday? Really? Is that what's going on your side, Tawana? Okay.
You said you didn't get that memo, Dr. Keisha.
I get that.
I don't know where my 7 days, but I think it was the 8th day that I perform services. So maybe it's just me.
I will say something though to Ethiopius. So we do want to let you know that we've spoken with multiple people about the 10K project, about us being focused on Black entrepreneurs, including a couple of people who have gone through the crowdfunding platform approval process and an attorney that has helped it's more than 3. She said a few get their crowdfunding approval. And none of them have blinked about it being, Black entrepreneurs or anything like that. So we do every once in a while, people are like, oh, is this something that can be done? And again, we can't say 100%, but no one who has gone through the process and then other attorneys that we've spoken with and other compliance people that we've spoken with have expressed any concerns with that. We do speak with legal every Monday now. So we are very, very actively engaged with legal and going through every week, okay, what do we need to do, et cetera, et cetera. So, and Tawana's been working with the compliance personnel as well. So are there other questions?
Yes, there's another question with regard to, as a business pitches the idea, will we vote on it like a biggie club? And I think we get this a lot too, that we are there's a comparison to a fund and we are not a fund. I think if you are ever familiar with going to any of the equity crowdfunding sites, if you're used to going to WeFunder or Start Engine, any of those, you just simply go there and you purvey all the things that are available to you in their marketplace. This is the exact same thing. We are not suggesting because we are not permitted to actually suggest. We just actually house in the marketplace those particular campaigns. It is up to you which ones you wish to, research, because you'll have the ability to actually click on and open up the full campaign and see all of their promotional collateral that they have provided in the portal. And then you can also assess how much you would like to. And again, it'll be the entrepreneur will tell you how much they're looking for. And then at that point in time, based upon your SEC, guideline and an appraisal of your income and net worth, you get to decide how much you want. And again, there's going to be a series of them. So you may not want to go all in, because that may be the one that you do for the rest. And then 52 later, you're like, oh, I missed that one, but you have hit your SEC limit. So you'll have to, gauge that. And that's somewhere we can help you with that. But we can't tell you what to invest and how much. That is not our purview. Our purview is just to bring you the information and give you all the information to make the best assessment that you can of the campaigns that are in our marketplace.
Yeah. I just want to tell Stephen he's my hero. Stephen says
I
spring
was
is around.
thinking that.
He's saving his money now.
Yeah,
I was thinking that. Absolutely. I said Tawan is going to love this. So
I do.
yes,
I
so
love that one.
Stephen is saving some of his money on the side for investments, and you may want to do the same thing. We are also talking with a couple of people who do something called self-directed IRAs as well. So we will be bringing more of that information in the next few months to individuals. Again, everything we're bringing to you is just things to consider. We don't say anything is the end all be all except for what's called the KYC, know your customer. You've got to put your social security number in there, in the portal. There are certain things that we will say, okay, this is a definite, but everything else is either for educational purposes or things for you to consider. So Crystal saying, so in summation, the $100 is just for membership and not your actual investment. Crystal, great question. And the answer is yes, it is for membership. It is for membership. And, in not only do you become a member, no, I'm sorry, I'm tongue-tied. Not only do you become a member, but you also get to access the Knowledge Center. You'll also everybody who's a member will get the Entrepreneur's Guide to getting on the platform. So, you're able to take a look at that. We're going to have all sorts of training that's happening in the Knowledge Center that Dr. Keisha is putting together. And you will also have an opportunity, and we're going to have more discussion about this, have an opportunity to get in that business directory as well. We're going to have a lot more conversations about that over the upcoming weeks as we are sketching all of that out, but everyone will have plenty of notice with regards to that.
Sheree, I just want to jump in real quick and expound a little bit on Stephen savings. So, I made a joke about it because it does excite me, but one of the things that's important for the community to know is that we are trying to build generational wealth, right? We're trying to close that wealth gap. We're trying to make it so that our children and their children's children can have better lives than maybe we've had, right? And so in order to do that, we have to invest responsibly. So the fact that Stephen is saving some investment money, right? He said he's marking it investment only, so he's not going to touch it. The fact that he's doing that is amazing, because what we don't want people doing is seeing the pitch, right? And we call it FOMO in the cryptocurrency blockchain world, fear of missing out, right? So you see this pitch and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing, right? And then all you have at that time to give is grocery money or rent money. That's not acceptable. That's counterproductive to what we're trying to do for this community. And so the fact that Stephen's saving investment dollars now, when he sees that pitch, he'll be able to say, oh, that's amazing. And here's the money I set aside for it, right? The other thing is Stephen has to be willing to lose all of that money that he's setting aside today. He's got to be willing, because none of these investments are a sure thing. And while we believe that these Black entrepreneurs have amazing, innovative ideas, and we believe as consumers, their products and services are going to do amazing things out in the world, right? We don't know that for sure. And there's nothing we can say as a platform to convince you otherwise. There's nothing they can say to convince you. Investing, period, is even educated investing is a crapshoot because anything can happen. Think about COVID, right? Amazing businesses were doing wonderfully, and now they're closed because COVID happened. So these things are not foolproof. So you have to be willing to lose the money, right? We're not giving refunds after campaigns close and it's a year later and you're like, I want my $700 back from that campaign. It hasn't done anything yet. That's not how it works. The SEC has rules on when you can get a refund and when the money it changes hands and goes over to the entrepreneur. The other thing is with investing is you have to be willing to play the long game. This is not a Ponzi scheme where somebody's promising you the top of the pyramid tomorrow, right? That's not this. 7 to 10 years is how long many of these investments will take to make some kind of a return. Remember, these are startups, right? And so think of a startup. Think about what you know about a startup company. They need this money to be able to develop the business, to scale, maybe to manufacture products, maybe to buy a manufacturing plant. They're needing the money so that they can get the business to a point where it is successful, right? If they were already successful, they wouldn't need the money. So you have to give them time to become successful. And that time frame is 7 to 10 years. And so if you're not willing to play the long game with disposable income, this is not for you yet. Doesn't mean you don't join us and learn more about investing and learn more about business development by looking in the Knowledge Center and being a part of the ecosystem if you're a professional, but you may not be ready for the investment part yet if you're not willing to wait 7 to 10 years and if you don't have disposable income. And it's important for me to say that, and I want to say it as pointedly as possible because we want to uplift this community and we never want to do anything to make you be your own worst enemy, right? And so which is full disclosure on those parameters, and we feel very strongly about that. And we're going to continually drill that in so that people can understand this is not a quick turnaround. Investing takes a while, and we only want you to do it with responsible dollars that you are willing to lose because it's a possibility.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tawana, for stressing that. So Marvin is asking in Facebook, is there any chance that pitches could possibly take place prior to spring 2021, or is that projection set in stone? I will let Tawana answer that.
I would love to answer
Please.
that. So it's not set in stone, right? Because as Sharice and I think Shalisha just stated, we have to get SEC and FINRA approval, right? We believe, based on our calculation of when we're submitting paperwork, right? And when they start their review process, we believe spring of 2021 is a good go live date for us. But anything could happen. They could be, doubling up on staff right now, and they could review our paperwork in 30 days. Mm-hmm. And then we'll come back and say, guess what? It's going to be winter of 2021, right? So we can come back and give that amazing news. Mm-hmm. Or we may come back and say, hey guys, the SEC is taking longer than we expected. It might be summer of 2021. We're going to take this journey and we're going to follow the SEC rules, because without the SEC approval, this doesn't happen, right? It's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. So what we have to do is we have to take our time. We have to put the work in on the front end to make sure that paperwork is tight, right? To make sure that business model is tight, to make sure that compliance manual is tighter than tight, right? So that we don't give them any reason to say, oh, this is a great idea. Okay, Black people empowering each other. We're not going to be afraid of that. Approved, right? That's what we're hoping for, right? And so, we can't give a time frame definitive. We can just tell you based on our calculation, when we made that spring 2021, it's all, if everything goes in place, right? Even with we even gave ourselves a little buffer with that spring 2021. If everything goes according to plan and we get all of our ducks in a row like we're doing, then that's the date. If not, it could be before or it could be a little after. So yes. we're just trust that we are doing everything in our power to make this happen as expeditiously as we possibly can without compromising the quality of it.
Yes, and Tawana didn't mention that we also, most likely she and I have to go for an interview in front of the SEC. So our attorneys have to prepare us for that. And yeah, I mean, we're going to have to go and defend our policies and things like that, which means we have to know our policies. So if people think that this is, oh, some get rich quick for us, and you know, that is not the case at all. We are putting in the work over here for sure in all aspects. And we do need to make sure that when we submit our paperwork and when we go in front of the whatever team on their end, that we aren't going, I think, no, we have to know our stuff. We have to be 10 times better, right? So we're taking this very seriously, and we're making sure, again, we have a standing meeting with legal, and we will do the best that we can, but approval is number one, the first thing that we want. And if it's approval delayed, then we'll be honest with everyone and say it's approval delayed, but it's coming, it looks good, you know, and that's what we're fighting for. So, and Tawana's probably laughing inside because she knows I'm the person for like pushing the deadline. So she's laughing inside.
She's got a tight smile right now.
There are two questions that I would like to get to. One is
Okay.
Warren's and one is Connie's. I'll answer as Connie's because this is kind of the issue with the digital currency. As of this point, digital currency is not a business. So as for the entrepreneurs, they would have to have something other than just, hey, I have a cryptocurrency. That's not a business model. So that's not applicable. But what does the platform offers with regard to how I constructed and made sure was that there was a protocol in place and the infrastructure to actually have a secondary market when the regulation comes, because we can see that as a purview. We didn't want to build something just for now. I wanted to build something that works very well now, but also have the forethought of working later. So there is the actual platform does have the ability to have a secondary market exchange with regard to cryptocurrencies. So now not only will you be able to invest in the actual companies, but that secondary market, if you want to have shares allocated and, you know, sell your shares in cryptocurrency, you will have that ability within the actual platform. You don't have to go outside of it to do so. So we had that built in already at this point. So I hope that answers your question.
And you said there was a second question?
Yeah, Warren is asking, are members allowed to form investment clubs on the platform to learn how to do due diligence? So I think we kind of answered that, but you can take that one again if you want to.
Well, so I will say that an investment club on the platform is like dependent on you and what you decide to do. However, what it sounds to me like you're asking is, can members get together and do due diligence together? We have to check with legal for me to say encourage it. I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble with legal, but you know, if you know, 10 of you want to get together and learn how to do that, I mean, go ahead, Tawana.
Yeah, I would just say we can't tell you who to be friends with, right? And we can't tell you who to talk to about your business.
Right.
We can just tell you that from a portal standpoint, you are considered an individual investor by using your social security number, or if you are part of an entity, being a business, which many investment clubs are businesses, then you would be using that tax ID number to do your transaction. From that standpoint, that's the information we care about, right? How you make your decision, that's up to you. Now, one of the things we know we want to do for this community is in our Knowledge Center, we want to provide due diligence assistance globally, right? So we're not telling you if business A is a good deal. We're not ever going to do that. But we may have information, or we will have information in the Knowledge Center to tell you how to spot a good deal, right? And so that's our role from an education standpoint. But who you talk with about investment options, that's your business. We're building a community here. People are in the Facebook group now offering each other services. We had a woman one day ask for help with a business plan. Like 5 people said, you know, I got you. I just did one. Hit me up, you know, and so that kind of stuff is welcomed in the Facebook group. There's nothing in the regulations that say you can't do that among each other within this social media community. And so I suggest we utilize this. The whole reason we're building this community is so we can help each other. So I suggest you guys utilize that however you see fit.
And I'll
Right.
say from a true technical standpoint, you're going to have a single logon to the platform. It is not going to be multiples going into the same aspect, because this is not a G Suite kind of thing. So that one sign-on and password gives you access to everything. As soon as you log on and you fulfill that information, that's the person that's making the transaction. So you may want to ensure that if you're the single person to do that, because you're responsible for anything under that ID. I'm not going to be able to assess, oh, that was person B of the club. You use the single sign-on, so all my back-end database calls are going to be like your log on, your password, it's you. That's all I can tell you. So if you have those kind of discrepancies, we are not able to assist in, kind of troubleshooting that, because it's viable with that. Like I said, a single user is going to come on with the credentials, and that's all I can validate for you.
Right. So I'm seeing several questions here. One in Facebook. Gayton is asking, is there a limit to membership? And then I also see someone here, McCindy, asking, what if someone joins after the 1K goal? Does membership go up? So I want to combine all of that together. Okay. So is there a limit to membership? No. The more members we have, the more businesses we can fund. So Cherie's crystal ball and everyone's prayers is that we get 1 million members, right? Okay, so the first 1,000 people are our founding members. After that, are we raising funds? Are we raising the cost of membership? The answer is no. For right now and for the foreseeable future, it will always be $100, okay? So again, this is not get rich for us, get rich quick or get rich for us. This is number one, to make sure that everyone who's coming in is serious. Number two, to help us, pull together our knowledge center and some of the other benefits that we're going to have. And number three, to make sure that we are operationally solvent, so that we're able to, all 5 of us have put money in, but the membership, I'll be honest with you, it will also help with legal costs and some of the other operational costs with the technology that we have. So let's see here. Latricia's asking, should a husband and wife join together? We had a whole conversation about that, Latricia. Please listen to the replay. We talked about that. Gayton is asking, I hope I'm saying your name right, can you progressively add to an investment? I guess you mean, can you add more money to an investment? We've kind of talked about that before, so go back and listen to the replay with that. Dedrick is saying he joined, so thank you, Dedrick. Delano is saying, are you guys allowed to consult or advise with the businesses that pitch on the platform? So that's a great question. Let me say that we are not able to advise you. So what will happen is, and Eric can talk about this more, you will have an application process, and all of that information is going to be in our guide for people coming on the platform. So we're in that guide. We're going to talk to you about what types of businesses we're looking for. We're going to talk to you about the application process all the way through, after you receive funding. Okay. And we are not able to advise you, but we will say one thing that we will be doing that we discovered in our focus groups, and we're talking with other people, that is not happening as much in other platforms. And that is, we will do more hand holding than the average company with regards to the SEC forms that need to be filled out. Because one of the things we didn't say earlier is that every entrepreneur that raises funds must also go through the SEC for approval. And all of that information is going to be in the guide for businesses and entrepreneurs raising funds on the platform. So Eric, I want to turn over this over to you.
Yes, and just to reiterate exactly what Sharita said, it's per the SEC guidelines, and we are the funding portal, so we aren't there to serve as business advisors for these entrepreneurs that are looking, but there will be resources that will be there, that they will be at their own discretion, that they can, take advantage of. But for us, it's really important that we do act in accordance with the SEC guidelines as a funding portal to not have any kind of overreach when it would come to any kind of development with these businesses and that sort of thing. So
I want to also go to Stephen's question. I know Talisha answered it, but this is a very important thing. So asking about the vetting committee for the entrepreneur applicants and then what happens and then what happens. So my team has a great way of explaining this, but I will say that a lot of that information is going to come out in the guide on October 27th. So because it needs to go through legal and the entire process needs to go through legal and compliance and a couple of other people, we don't want to say too much right now. We will, however, say that the SEC will have its requirements. We as a 10K project will have our requirements, and then you as the individual investor is responsible for doing your own due diligence for each and every project that comes on the platform. You're building your own portfolio, and as such, you need to do your own due diligence. So I'm going to open it up to anybody else to respond to that.
you know,
Yeah, I would just, go ahead, Kara, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say one thing with that is, you know, there will be certain businesses that you may have a certain interest in a particular product or service that you may, you know, look at it even say, man, wow, you know, that's something that I would want to use in my own life. And that may be something there that even connects you even that much more to a business. I know that Tawana, just in our own group, we were talking about there were certain products when, you know, of course, we look at the crowdfunding, not equity crowdfunding, but just crowdfunding itself, where people were, you know, raising money for the development and production of certain products. And Tawana was talking about a certain product that she bought and she really loved it. But, you know, now it's much different now that now you're able to not only take that product itself and get it and utilize it and be happy with it, but also own a piece, you know, of the equity of that company going forward. But one thing that I always look at too is take time to even look at where your own interests lie. And that's always been, you know, to me, like a great compass. And yeah, you can expand out from there because we're always looking to learn new things and be open to new ideas. But many times, yes, look at your own compass and those own interests that you may have. And to me, that's always been a good starting point.
Yeah, I'll add into that just a little bit, 2 points. You know, the entrepreneur guide will be very thorough. So the first vetting is the business itself, right? They'll be able to read that guide and say, do I meet the criteria for this? Am I ready? So really, they're the first line of vetting defense. And then that other part is, you know, we feel very strongly about not just throwing people away. Everyone won't be ready, right? And so that's why when Cherie talked about that professional network, right, that's going to be available for that entrepreneur to, you know, opt into if they want the extra help to try to help them get to a point of readiness, that's there for them. But at the end of the day, the business is going to make the determination on if this is something they're ready for. You know, we can put our list of criteria out there, but there's work for them to do, right? They'd have to come up with financials. They have to have their own legal counsel. They need to be able to have a business plan already ready. And so the ability for them to put in the work is going to determine if they're really in this. And then if they say, I got this, I can do this, then we come in and say, okay, let's see if you pass our requirements. And then the SEC gets to have their say, because that issue, you know, applies with the SEC themselves, not just through us, but they will have their own relationship with the SEC, and they have to pass that requirement. So there are levels to the approval process. You know, the goal is that we want to make sure we vet enough that we can feel confident that we are bringing to you an entrepreneur and a business investment opportunity that is as successful as it can be, minus the, well, let me say that away. Let me say that a different way. I want to say that a different way. We believe that our vetting process is going to allow this business to be presented to you with the best chance possible to succeed, right? But they still need customers, right? They still need good
Marketing,
marketing
sales,
plan
and
once they get out into the world with whatever their product is. Those things don't have anything to do with our vetting process. That has everything to do with how they run a business. And so when they're doing these pitches, ask the right questions, because you guys are asking the questions. We're not asking any questions when they do the pitches because, right, we can't.
you can't.
Right? So you want to make sure you guys ask them, how are you using this money? What's your marketing plan? What revenues do you already have? What's your production plan? You know, anything and everything you can think of. Before you give them your hard-earned Black dollars, make sure they can answer your questions from a business standpoint. Let's not get so wooed over whatever the product is that we forget there's a business, because you can have the best product, and if you sit it on a shelf by itself with nothing, it's not going to sell, right? The marketing and the team behind pushing it forward is what matters at the end of the day. And so we're going to do our part, but you guys have to do your part also with asking those questions if we do present them to you. But know that if they make it to pitch, they've passed our vetting process and the SEC's vetting process. And now it's up to you. Do they pass?
One more thing, as again, from a technical standpoint, the technology has built into it certain things and criteria that they must have, or they can't even get to the platform. I have it set up where there are requirements of documentation, and it just can't be, oh, I just need to put a Word document here. It actually has to be a valuable document, and it won't let you go any further. So both sets of them have this, like on the investor side, if you don't answer the question, you don't get access to the platform. The same with the entrepreneur. So there are these kind of, I call them benchmarks and stopgaps in order to make sure that we aggregate all the data that's necessary to make assessments from the very beginning. So it's not just like, oh, you can talk me into it. You have to go to the platform. These things are there. They're the criteria, and everyone has to meet that criteria. That's the beginning stage of this. And then from there, the due diligence is performed in incremental steps, both from the entrepreneur side as well as the investor side. So you're getting it a very balanced aspect. Like it can't just be anybody on the site, and it can't be any just business on the site as well.
There's a question here from Nicole, Talisha. I think this might be for you. So
Okay.
will the info that is on Facebook be migrated to the portal once it's up and running with the same chat group discussion functionality for those who don't have a Facebook account and do not plan to join Facebook? So I can talk about part 1 of that, and then I'll have Talisha talk about part 2 of that. So for the Knowledge Center information itself, that information will be migrated over to our own website. You will have a single username and password, and you'll be able to get into the Investor Knowledge Center at that time. For version 1 of the Knowledge Center, it will not have group chat or anything like that. Okay, Talisha is our tech person. She's like MVP only. MVP stands for minimally viable product, and I've already thrown in more than the average tech person would want me to throw in. So for the first version 1, it will just be, here's the information, and you're able to consume it. And in some cases, if it's a PDF or something like that, even download it in order to consume it. Now, part 2, Talisha, is this person asked about certain things being migrated onto the portal. So I want
itself is a separate entity. So this is where it's a whole different entity rather than going to the Facebook. You do not require a single sign-on with regard to it. It literally requires its own. So you won't be able to say, log me in with Facebook. It's not permitted. I didn't mind making sure that you have to physically log in, and all the information there is truly the marketplace information. There will be no ancillary information available there, only with regard to what the entrepreneur themselves provides to you in their campaign. There is a chat functionality that's available to you per campaign to engage with that entrepreneur, but at no point in time, it is, like I said, it kind of is a standalone entity, whereas you're not going to be able to pull other resources in there. Everything is actually self-contained. So if you want to see their business plan, their financials, you have that already in their campaign. So you would click on it and then kind of drill down. And the same as your investment, You can see your own portfolio. You can see information with regard to what you have done on the platform. But again, will be no ancillary information provided.
And so, Nicole, if you don't want to be part of the Facebook group, you want to make sure you keep up to date with our YouTube channel, where the live videos and interviews we put there. Since you won't be engaging on a day-to-day basis within the Facebook community. So you won't miss out. You'll still have access to the market where all the deals are. You'll have access to YouTube where all the communication and the different live webinars and stuff that we do will be there. And then as Cherie said, you'll have access to the Knowledge Center because that'll be on the website. But you won't have access to some of that community dialogue that will continue to happen even once the platform is live.
Absolutely. So with that, I don't see any other questions. Does anyone else see any other questions this evening?
No, don't.
We want to thank all of you for participating this evening in the 10K Project. We do this every Monday. We do a live Q&A session where people are able to see where we are. We'll also be doing some more behind the scenes stuff. So, in the middle of the week so that you are able to catch up with that as well. And if you have any other questions, you can email me info@the10kproject.com. I don't know if we've reached our founding members of 1,000 yet. I'm hoping I get in the stripe and we have, but
We're real close.
we're real close. So that means if you want to be a founding member,
We're real close.
we've been talking on the back end about some gifts and things like that. So so if you want to be a founding member and more importantly, help build Black wealth and help push and help us build this community, then we don't take anyone's membership lightly. So please consider becoming a member, the10kproject.com. If you have a family group that you want us to present to, you have a podcast that you run that you want us to come and be guests on or anything like that, we would love the opportunity to do that as well. info@the10kproject.com. God bless everyone. We had close to 100 people here tonight. God bless you. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye,
Good night.
everybody.